StraighTallDay.com.
Now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you're expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is to go get an energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series, frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is how to sell yourself. Before we get into this, I remind everybody, send out a text message every day, guaranteed to have you focused, sharp, and on point to start your day. I also send one out every week, guaranteed to have you focused, sharp, and on point to start your week. You get the choice of which one you want to get. Either way, either option, you got to be a part of my text community to have this choice. All you got to do is text me. It's completely free. My number is 305-384-6894. Once you text me, we'll tell you what your options are. You can choose from there, and we go from there. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. That is the place where I do all my coaching. Any of you wants to work with me directly. Any of you would like to be helped by me. Any of you would like to be able to share with me what you are doing, what your challenges are, or just what you're doing. And I can tell you what your challenges are. You might not even know what they are, but I will. All you got to do is join Work on Your Game University. Just go to workonyourgameuniversity.com where you got a few options. We have some group programs that you can join there. We also have an option where you can get on a call with me or somebody on my team. If you're interested in working more intimately and more directly, you can get on a call with us free of charge, and we'll talk to you about where you're at, where you want to go. If we believe we can help you and we believe you'd be a good fit for what we're doing, then we will tell you what that will look like and how that will work as well. So we got a few options for you, but the place to be, just to be clear, is Work on Your Game University. Okay, if you want to work with me directly, Work on Your Game University is the only place where I work with anybody. You will not find me working with anybody if it ain't Work on Your Game University. So go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. You can schedule a call with us, or you can join one of our programs. And like I said, we give you a couple options. All right, we make it easy for you. So go over there. That link is down below in the description, as well as my number to get into my text community. Now, with all that out the way, let's get into today's topic, which is how to sell yourself. And it was interesting. I was looking through the show list, the history of the Work on Your Game Masterclass, and realized that I'd never actually done an episode that was just about how to sell yourself. Actually, I kind of did, but not directly called Sell Yourself. So I did an episode number 9 back in 2016, how to sell yourself the right way. And then episode number 2482, how to prepare to sell yourself. And then I have several episodes where I talk about selling in general, probably close to 40 of those, as I'm looking through my episode history list. I never did an episode that's just how to sell yourself. So we're solving that problem right here today. Now, selling yourself is essential anytime you're in a space where there are other competitors and or your consumers have other options aside from you. They may not even be competitors. Well, your competitor could be an option of doing something other than doing whatever it is that you're offering. See, just because you're offering something, and when I say competitors, doesn't mean it has to be somebody else offering the same thing that you're offering. Your competitor could just be something other than what you're doing. So, for example, one of my competitors to you listening to this show, one of the competitors of this show is Spotify or Apple Music, because you can't listen to Apple Music or Spotify and listen to this show at the same time. So my competitor is not necessarily another somebody's podcast or YouTube channel. It is something that you could be listening to other than what I'm saying right now. So your competitor does not necessarily have to be someone doing the same thing as you. So your consumers, that's you and I, because we're all consumers, we all got myriad options as far as what we do these days. We all got a lot of options. So selling yourself is essential because you got to cut through the fat and get people to decide on your thing as opposed to all the other stuff they can do, including the option of doing absolutely nothing at all. Now, understand that your audience always has more choices than just you, as I just explained to you. And they always have the choice of, as I said, doing nothing, reading nothing, listening to nothing, or buying nothing. So unless you own a government utility like the electric company or a water power plant, which pretty much people need those are not, people don't really have an option of not doing those. Unless you happen to do that for a living, you always must be able to sell yourself and your stuff to anyone who might become your buyer. Because other than those essentials, food, clothing, shelter, even clothing, people got a ton of options. But when it comes to electricity, water, people really don't have options with that. So unless you happen to own one of those and you get paid every time somebody pays the bill, I don't mean you work for the company, I mean you own the company. But anybody else, which basically includes 99.9% of us, all of us got to know how to sell because people have choices. Get into it. Point number 1. Today's topic, once again, is how to sell yourself. Number 1, have a unique angle that brings value to your audience. You want to sell yourself, you need a unique angle that brings value to your audience. What does unique mean? It means different. What do you bring to the audience that your competitors or the other options that your consumers see, which may not necessarily be the ones that you see? You should find out what they see because those are your competitors. What angle do you bring that the other options that your consumer has do not bring? Key question every salesperson must always answer. You must continuously answer the following question. Why should someone do business with you as opposed to every other option they have available to them, including the option of doing nothing at all? That's a question you must always answer. Every day when I record this show, I'm answering that question. Why should you listen to this show as opposed to all the other stuff you could be listening to, including the option of listening to nothing? I got to answer that question. See, what I give you when you listen to this show has to improve on the silence of you listening to nothing. It has to be better than the option of every other show that's out there or whatever other thing you could be watching or the music you could be listening to. Everything that I put out that you're listening to with your ears has to be better than every other option you have or what you could be listening to with your ears. Now, you got to be answering that question consistently. When you put yourself and your work out there, folks, you need to consistently answer this question. You need to answer it in a subtle way, if not in overt way. I just overtly gave you the question. So I know that I have to answer that question every day. I got to be good enough to go out there and win the battle for your attention against all the other options you have, all the other things that are competing for your attention. And the things that I listen to and watch, they're doing the same thing. They got to compete for my attention against all the other things that I could be paying attention to. The best position to be in, folks, as a salesperson is positioned as the only option that your prospect sees or considers. You want to be so unique and so different and also so good in the eyes of your prospect that they don't even see you as a choice amongst many. They see you as a one of one. This is the best position to be in. You could just be a one of one in what you're doing to where your consumers, your audience, your customers, your clients, they see you as, okay, this is this person, that's you. And there's nothing else even similar to this in the marketplace. So if I want what this person offers, then the only place I can get it is right here with whatever you're doing. This coaching program, this podcast, this YouTube channel, this book, this course, this whatever your thing is. You need to know what that is for you. Now, what's the best way for you to find this out? Because this requires a unique positioning and a unique angle. So you have to position yourself in a way that people can see you as different, and also you have to have a unique angle that you can through which you can communicate why you are unique, and through which other people can understand why you're unique. See, if your explanation of why you're unique goes over people's heads, then they won't understand it, and therefore you may think it, but they don't agree with it. You got to get them to see the same thing that you see. So one easy way to do this, and this is something that I help people in Working Your Game University do, is through actually talking to your people in your audience, certain people in your audience, and you got to learn how to ask the right questions of those people. And again, in Working Your Game University, I will coach you and work with you on exactly how to do this, because there is a process to it. And I've actually undergone this process multiple times. I continuously undergo this process because it helps me sharpen my unique angle and my unique positioning, because I need to know exactly what it is that separates me from everybody else who is out there in the space that, again, you could be listening to, watching, reading, subscribing to, etc. Point number 2, today's topic, once again, is how to sell yourself. Number 2, know how to get people's attention with that unique angle. So once you're clear on what it is that makes you unique and different, all right, now you know what it is. Now, how do you get someone who doesn't know you to see that, hear it, experience it, and then say, hey, I want to know more about that? You got to know how to get people's attention. Getting people's attention is an important thing to do in business these days. Now, let's be clear about something. You don't need to get everybody's attention. You may think you want to get everybody's attention. Hey, the more attention I get, the more possibilities the right people come through. Theoretically, yes, but why do all that churning of going through the attention of a bunch of people who you really don't want attention from, when instead you get attention from the right people? This is all about your positioning. That's what we call this. We call this positioning. You see, the Rolls-Royce dealership, technically they could do certain types of marketing to get everybody's attention, but they understand that there are people who are in the market for a Toyota or a Chevy or a Honda. Rolls-Royce does not want to go through the churn of having those people come through their sales rooms and realize that they're not customers, because their salespeople had to deal with those individuals. Like, why do we got to deal with these people? Why doesn't the company, this is what the company says to itself, why don't we just market to the right type of people who actually are in the market for buying one of our cars, so that the people who do come in, we are working with highly qualified prospects. Highly qualified does not necessarily mean they're better or worse than another person. What it means is this person is much more, this person is closer to buying whatever I'm selling than another person is. That's what highly qualified means, as opposed to unqualified. Unqualified is a person who would never be interested in what I'm talking about, whereas a highly qualified person would be very interested in what I'm talking about. To give you an example, I personally do not agree with the concept of a man deciding that he's a woman and getting onto a women's sports team or using a women's bathroom. I 100% disagree with that. So if you are transgender yourself, or you support the transgenderism movement, or whatever the hell they're calling themselves these days, you are not a highly qualified prospect for me. But you may be a highly qualified prospect for some show that is all about the transgender movement. You understand? So, and I would be a very unqualified prospect for them. So again, this is relative, folks, but you got to know who your audience is. You got to know exactly who you're talking to, and also you got to know who you're not talking to. So when I say get people's attention with your unique angle, that does not mean anyone and everyone. There are many salespeople and entrepreneurs who believe that they already have a unique angle. Almost everybody thinks something is unique about them and their thing. Almost everybody believes that. But if you ask them, they can probably explain to you, sometimes succinctly, sometimes not so much, why their thing or their offer or their service is completely unique and different from anything out there. Many people believe their thing is unique and different from anything out there. The problem is the people to whom they want to sell do not know that, they do not understand it, and often have never even heard this explanation from the salesperson. So let's say I'm talking to you and I say, what makes your thing unique? You tell me what makes the thing unique. I say, do your ideal prospects know anything about that? Have they ever heard you say that? Are you putting that message out there on a consistent basis? Often the answer is no. And this is a problem, because if your ideal prospects are not hearing about what makes you unique or what makes you stand out or why they should pay attention to you, well, they probably won't do it. All right, this is a business issue, folks. So that means, what does this mean? It means you're doing a poor job of selling yourself. That's what it means. You are doing a poor job of selling yourself. The way that we measure the job you're doing in selling yourself is how often are you talking to ideal people who are perfect fits for what you're offering. You're not talking to too many of them often enough. You're doing a poor job of selling yourself. If you got a whole bunch of people coming into your world who are unqualified prospects, you sell $1,000 product, but you got bunch of $100 people coming to you, you are doing a poor job of selling yourself because you are not attracting the right people into your world. See, just because you got people in your world does not mean you're doing a good job of selling yourself. Because again, do you want all people coming to you? Probably not. Ladies out there, when you go out into the world in public, especially those of you who are single, or do you want every man walking up to you trying to talk to you? No, you want a certain type of man coming up to you. You don't want to talk to every guy who might be wanting to talk to you. You want to attract the right type of guys. So just because they're all coming up to you does not necessarily mean you're doing a good job of putting yourself out there, right? You want to put yourself out there in a certain way that the right person does show up and the wrong people don't show up. Right? It's the same thing you're doing in business. You are not selling because any of you who's not selling to the right people, or you're not selling as much as you want, because somehow, some way, your marketing is not doing its job. It's not doing the job. At least it's not doing the job that you would want it to do. Let's just put it that way. Getting people's attention on your unique angle, getting the right people's attention on your unique angle is a marketing challenge. This is part of marketing. Marketing leads to selling. And marketing is simply the relationship you have with your audience and making them understand why what you offer is what they need. That's what marketing is. Building a relationship with an audience and making them understand why what you have is what they need. Marketing allows selling to occur. When your marketing is done right, it makes it much easier for you to sell. It actually creates an opportunity for you to sell. If you don't do any marketing, there's no opportunity to sell. You open a restaurant in your town and you don't do any marketing to get people to come into the restaurant, then you can never sell the food. So the marketing is what brings the people. The selling is what brings the money. And usually the people have to show up in order to get the money. Money doesn't just grow wings and fly to you, right? So it has to come out of the pockets of the people. With no marketing, or with shoddy marketing, there are no sales. You must learn how to get the attention of the right people, not just anyone. Again, you don't want to sell to just anybody, because maybe not just anyone is a good prospect for what you're selling. And depending on what and how you're selling it, there are some people who are completely unqualified for what you're selling. You don't want to talk to them. You don't want them out. You don't want them coming around you at all. And I'll be talking about this more in a future masterclass of getting the right people to come into your world, not just getting anybody to come into your world. And the challenge for many people in the marketing space, marketers in general who try to sell their marketing services, many of them very amateur, don't even know what they're doing, and entrepreneurs who are also amateur and don't know what you're doing, is that you are fooled by this belief that just any kind of attention is good attention. No, it is not. See, this is what social media has done to many people as well. Let me just get more and more followers and more likes and more comments and more subscribers. Well, who are the people who are following you, commenting, liking, and subscribing to you? Or do you want just anyone? Because not all of them are your ideal prospects. All right, so why do you need them in your world? You don't. They don't provide anything other than helping you get the increased vanity metrics, but can't pay bills with vanity metrics. But let's move on. We'll talk about that, as I said, in a future episode, as I've talked about it in the past. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is how to sell yourself. Number 3, ask for the sale. You want to sell yourself, you got to ask for the sale. Most of the time, people will not hand you money without you asking for the money. People will not hand you an opportunity without you asking for the opportunity, most of the time. So you got to be willing to ask for it. What do you want people to do next? Should they join your email list? Should they buy your book? Should they bring you in to speak to their audience? Should they sign up for your course? Should they register for your retreat? What exactly do you want people to do? And why should they do it? This is all part of asking for the sale. What do you want me to do and why should I do it? What do I get if I do this? Most people do not figure these things out and make these decisions on their own volition. You must help them. In other words, people who come into your world, whatever it is you want them to do, you need to make it clear to them that that's what they need to do. Here's how they do it, and here's why you want them to do it. You can reverse those. Here's what it is, here's why you should do it, and here's what to do in order to get it. But it has to be clear. You got to make it really easy for people to do the thing that you want them to do. Think about the companies where you spend money on a consistent basis. They do this. They tell you what it is they have, they tell you why you should want it, and they make it really easy for you to do it. They make it really easy for you to acquire it by paying them. Look at a company like Apple. What do they have? All right, everybody knows they got 4 products. They got a phone, a watch, a tablet, and a computer. That's it. Their whole business is based on those 4 products. Now, why do you want it? Well, they've done a great job of building a brand message. They've done a great job of marketing, and they got everybody to pretty much want the new phone. And there are a few of you I know, Iconoclast, who are Android users, but Apple still dominates the market. And how do you get it? Well, they make it as easy as possible. You can order it on the computer, order it online through your phone. They got an Apple credit card, so you can pay them with their card. So the money's just flowing in circles to them. You can go into the store, and you notice you've never seen an empty Apple store. You can go into the store and you can get it that way and make it as easy as possible. Or you can go to your local phone service provider. You can buy it through them if you want to. They even allow you to lease the phone. You lease the phone like a car or an apartment. You just lease it. You don't own the phone. Just lease it. Just pay us every month for the rest of your life. The program is literally called iPhone for Life. All right, so you can just get on a payment plan with Apple for life. You just keep paying them to have their phone, whatever the phone happens to be. The whole point is they've done a great job of making it easy for you to understand what it is, why do you want it, how do you get it. When you're asking for the sale, you need to make it clear who or what you are, why somebody should give a damn about you, and what exactly do you want. Any of you remember the movie Friday? If you saw the movie Friday with Ice Cube and Chris Tucker and a bunch of other people, there was a scene early in the movie when Big Worm, who was the local small-time drug kingpin who had given some marijuana to Smokey on consignment, asked him where his money was at. And actually, before he asked Smokey where the money was at, he was driving. He pulled up an ice cream truck, right? So he's driving a local ice cream truck. A bunch of kids come around the truck, and Big Worm starts asking the kids, "What do you want?" And they tell him what they want, and he's giving them the ice cream and stuff. And then there's this tall, kind of chubby kid. He says to the kid, he said, "What do you want?" And the boy says, "What you got?" And the Big Worm replies, "Boy, what the fuck do you want?" All right, and that's what I'm saying to you. All right, what the fuck do you want? What do you want? All right, when you got to ask for the sale. All right, if you're going to sell, you must ask for the sale. People are not just going to give it to you. You got to ask for it. All that said, let's recap today's class. This is how to sell yourself. Selling yourself, again, is essential anytime when you're in a space where your consumers have other options besides buying from you, which is pretty much all the time. Number 1, have a unique angle that brings value to your audience. What makes you unique? Why you instead of everything else that I could possibly do? This requires a unique positioning and a unique angle. Number 2, know how to get people's attention with your unique angle. Just because you're unique does not mean anything's going to happen, because if nobody knows that you're unique, well, no, that's a frustrating existence, because you know that you're good, but the right people are not knowing about you. And understand, this is the job of your marketing. Your marketing job is to identify the right people and bring them into your world, not just people, period. Now, maybe people might be better than no one at all, but not necessarily, because it can cost you money to bring people into your world. And if you're bringing the wrong people in the world, it can cost you a lot of money very quickly, especially those of you who are in paid advertising, which is people who are going up in the mid to higher 6 figures and 7 figures and up when it comes to running a business, you are doing paid advertising. You're paying to get people's attention. So you can't afford to be getting the attention of the wrong people, and i.e. your marketing being off. So this matters a ton. So those of you who are not there at that level yet, understand you better start thinking about this because you will need it. Number 3, ask for the sale. Most of the time, people will not hand you money without you asking for it. You got to make it clear what it is, why do they want it, and what do they have to do to get it. It's not easy, not hard to do, but you do have to do it to make it easy for them to understand. All that out the way. Make sure you text me so you're getting my daily motivation message and my Monday motivation message. That's the weekly one. By texting me at my number 305-384-6894. That message again goes out as frequently as I just told you. And workonyourgameuniversity.com. You want to work with me directly? You want to be coached by me directly? Do I sound like I know what I'm talking about and I can help you get to where you want to go? I know I do. So go to workonyourgameuniversity.com and let's take it to where it needs to go as quickly as possible. Work on your game. Dre, all